In this video, I'm going to show you an extension to the Flappy Hippo game that many of you have already created. If you haven't yet created the Flappy Hippo game, it doesn't have to be a hippo, it can be a Flappy anything, then this is what it looks like. Basically, it has a hippo called Barbara. This is in fast mode, and you have to avoid the pipes, or the gap in, you have to get through the gap in the pipes. And for every pipe that you get through, you get a point, and the game ends when you hit a pipe. There's also a slow mode, which is much easier, maybe a little bit too slow. And that is the Flappy Hippo game. So if you've already made a Flappy game, what I'm going to show you in this video is how to extend it to make it both a Flappy game and a shooter game. So almost like a combination of the Space Invaders game that there is an instruction for and the an original Flappy Hippo game. So you will now notice that there is a donut button as well as the start button, and the way this game works is just the same, but periodically you will see Marvin the annoying jellyfish appears, floats around for a bit annoyingly, and then disappears. What the donut button does allows you to shoot at Marvin, and every time you hit him you get 5 extra points, but it does make the game quite a bit more difficult. So to extend the game, the first thing you need to do is go to your Flappy game, which you will have saved and shared with me, or if you want to, you can go to my Flappy Hippo game and start the extension from there. The Flappy Hippo Donut Shooter and Flappy Hippo Original and the starter files for Flappy Hippo are all in the Class Studio, so you can access those if you want to. Now, you go to your Flappy game, click See Inside, and the first thing that you're going to do is not start to change the code in this, because then you will lose your original Flappy game. So the first thing to do is to click on File and click Save as a copy, and then change that to Flappy Hippo Donut Shooter. I'll call mine 2 because I already have one of those. And now you have a separate Flappy Hippo Donut Shooter game and your original Flappy game. Okay, so this will have all the code that you've already created for the hippo, pipes, line, and for the buttons. So the first thing we need to do is add 3 new sprites. So if we click on Choose a Sprite, there is, obviously you can choose your own here if you want to fire something else, but there is a donut sprite. It's too big, so I'm going to make that, let's try 50. Still too big, let's make that 30. Yeah, that's better. So now the donut's going to be fired from the hippo. The other thing that I need is something to fire at. Again, I've chosen a jellyfish, but you can choose whatever you want. Where's the jellyfish? There it is. And you'll see with the reason why I chose the jellyfish is that there are different costumes for it, which if you cycle around creates quite a nice animation. So I have those. Again, that is far too big, so I'm going to, let's try 50%. No, still too big. We'll go for 30 again. Maybe a bit too, no, 30 is probably about alright, isn't it? Yeah, let's go for 30% on the jellyfish. So I've now got something to be shot, the donut, and something to be shot at, which is the jellyfish. The only other thing is that I need a button over here so that the hippo can shoot. So again, I'm going to add the donut to, so I'm just going to duplicate that and call it donut button and move that over here. So that can be my button for shooting. So that's all the extra sprites that you need to add. And I'll now go through the code. There's a tiny bit of code to add to the donut button, a little bit more to add to the donut, and quite a bit more to add to the jellyfish. But once you've done that, you've fully extended the game. So let's go to the donut button first. I want to say there that when this sprite is clicked, I'm going to broadcast a message called shoot. And that's all I need to do for that, because I can then pick that broadcast up from the donut sprite and handle it doing the shooting. So that's all the button needs to do. I can now go to the donut sprite and say, when I receive shoot, if you've already made the Space Invaders game, it's a similar idea to how we make the rocket ship fire, but this time it's firing across and not upwards, so it's pretty much the same. So the first thing we do when we receive the message shoot is to go to the Hippo, and then I need to show my sprite. So the other thing that I need to do is say that when it first starts, when the green flag is clicked, I want to hide the donut because I don't want it to be there until I click the button. After that, once it's appeared, I just need it to move from left to right. So all I'm going to do is change the X coordinates by positive number to move to the right. And I've tried a few different versions with this, and this is where I got to with it, but you might want to try a few different things. I say repeat 17 times, change X by 20, and I found that that shoots at quite a nice speed. So now if I press that, you see it shoots like that. If I change that to a smaller number, then it will shoot more slowly, and I'll need to increase the number of times it repeats so that it gets to the end. And then once it's got to the end, the other thing that I need it to do is to hide. So now if I click this, you'll see Barbara the Hippo can now shoot donuts. So the next thing I need to do is code up the jellyfish, and the jellyfish needs to do a few things. Now again, you might just want it falling, but what I've written the code to do is for the jellyfish to appear at random points, float around a bit, and then disappear, and then a little bit later appear again at a different point, float around a bit, and then disappear. So I'll show you the code how to do that, but if you want to make your enemy sprite do something different, then just have a play with the code and see what you can do. So the broadcast I'm going to respond to for the jellyfish is the same one that starts the game. When the green button is pressed, it broadcasts a message called start, as you can see there, and that starts the game moving. It starts the pipe moving, it starts the hippo flying. So I want the same thing to start the jellyfish as well. So I'm going to use the event when I receive start. I'm going to hide because I don't want it to be there at the very start, and then for the whole of the game, so forever, I want to go to the first costume of the jellyfish, and then I want to wait a random amount of time so that the jellyfish, you can't predict when the jellyfish is going to turn up. So I'm going to use the time block wait, but use the random operator 1 to 3 seconds. So it could be 2 seconds, it could be 1, it could be 3, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be regular intervals that the jellyfish appears. When it does appear, what I want it to do is go to a specific X coordinate. So I want it to appear at a specific point here so that it doesn't appear behind the hippo or below the hippo, so it appears at this point. So I'm going to use an x coordinate of 170. So if we just find 170, it's about there. So the jellyfish will always appear at this point along. So 170. But the y coordinate, the height that it appears at, I want to be random. So again, I'm going to pick a random operator, and I'm going to use between minus 120, which is right down here, and 140, which is all the way up here. So at a random interval between 1 and 3 seconds, the jellyfish is going to appear somewhere around here, this far along, and at any height between the top and the bottom. Once it's found its position, I then want to show the jellyfish, and then I want to get it to just float around a bit annoyingly, because it's Marvin the annoying jellyfish. So I want it to just taunt the hippo a little bit and then disappear. Now what I'm going to do is use a repeat block, and 4 times I'm going to glide for 1 second to make sure I stay at 170 on the X. Again, I don't want the jellyfish to go behind or change or on top of the pipes. I want it to stay here. I just want it to change its position vertically, and I'm going to use the same pick random, minus 120 and 140. So it's going to appear at a certain point, random height, then it's going to float to a random height, and then for 4 times it's going to float to another random height. So at the end of that, I then want it to hide. So now if I start again, you'll see it looks like the jellyfish is moving forward and backwards. It isn't, it's just an illusion caused by the movement of the pipes. But you'll see the jellyfish is moving up and down, and if I click on the button, then I can try to shoot it. Now this highlights a bit of a problem, because this game was created for touchscreen, and on touchscreen it's quite easy to tap to make the hippo fly and then tap the button to make the donut shoot. However, if you're doing this with a keyboard and mouse like I am, it's quite difficult to click the mouse to make the hippo fly and then get over to the button to make the donut shoot. So one thing that I'm going to do is just change slightly how the hippo is controlled. So at the moment it says if mouse down, which is the same as if the screen is tapped. I'm just going to add an OR operator and say if mouse down or the space key is pressed. So now I can control the hippo. This will still work exactly the same on a touch screen, but it also means that if I'm using a mouse and keyboard, I can use the keyboard to control the hippo and the mouse to fire the donut. So let me just show you how that improves the game for me. So now I'm pressing, well, it didn't improve it that much. Now I'm pressing the space key, and I can keep the mouse there and click to fire. Now you'll see it's firing, but it's not shooting Marvin the annoying jellyfish. So that is the next bit of code that I need to add. So we go back to the jellyfish sprite, and I'm going to say again, for the code where I want it to handle being shot by the donut, I need to start that with an event when I receive start, because I want this to work from the start of the game. And put all this in a forever block. First thing I'm going to do is say next costume, because I want the jellyfish to animate through the costumes. Now you can obviously make it a slower animation, but I quite like the fast animation there, because the jellyfish is supposed to be annoying and fast colour change like that is quite annoying. So that's going to handle animating the jellyfish, and next I want it to handle being hit by the donut. So I'm going to say if the jellyfish is touching the donut, then I want to switch the costume to jellyfish. I want to switch it to this red one, so I want to switch the costume to jellyfish C, and I want to increase the score by probably more than 1 point, because you get 1 point for going through a pipe and it's quite hard to hit the jellyfish. So I'm going to get the variables and say change score by, let's give them 10 points. You can make that 5 points or whatever you want to do. Then I want it to just wait for a short amount of time, let's say 0.3 seconds, and then I want the jellyfish to hide. So I have 2 blocks of code now, one to make the jellyfish move and one to handle being shot by the donut. Let's see what happens if I run this. So I'm using the space bar now to control. Let's see if I can hit it. Got it. Got it again. Okay, so now you see, because I hit it twice, I went through 10 pipes, I hit the jellyfish twice, I've now got 30 points. So this is instantly a more difficult, but also I think a better game, because it has more elements and more interesting gameplay in there. So that's all the code that you need to do. You might want to extend this in different ways. Now you can change the speed, you can add new levels, you could add more than one enemy sprite that you're going to shoot. But hopefully what you can see is that by taking your original game, thinking about how you can make it better, add in more elements, you can start to really improve your games and start to make them much better. Well, I look forward to what you make and how you improve your Flappy game, and good luck everybody.